We know that if we plant seeds of melons, we're going to get melons. We're not going to get carrots, right? So if I'm planting seeds of disease and violence and misery in other beings, it's a stretch to think it's going to give me more health and happiness and harmony. You know, we know that. It's just that we live in a society where we've been taught systematically to disconnect from our basic wisdom. So what we're talking about with the boomerang effect is the basic wisdom that we know in our bones. And when we live in a society where we're taught that animals don't matter, right? But we said the same thing about other beings we were oppressing, that our violence toward them didn't matter. And we look back on those times as very dark times of foolishness. I mean, where people were creating terrible suffering for the slaves that they were owning, for example, and for themselves. And we just are born into the same kind of a situation, and in the future we can look back and understand this. But I think even today, virtually all of us can see, especially now that a lot of people have companion animals, that so-called animals are just as capable as we are of physical suffering, psychological, social suffering and trauma. And if we inflict that on them, it is significant to them. And so when we do that, we're creating situations where we're sowing those seeds. And in the World Peace Diet, I point out actually that all of the dilemmas and problems that we read about actually in the newspapers and see on TV, we're actually inflicting on animals. You know, we sow seeds of obesity in them, and what do we get? We get obesity and cancer and break down their families. You know, all these things that we're experiencing, we're doing to animals. And so people can make their own conclusions.